Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Patreon Hangout. It's February 27th, right down to the end of the month. We get to hang out again. And every time I look at this and I go, man, this camera's way the fuck too close. Oh, God. Oh, and my mic is being very wobbly and weird. Why is it like... I think I just need to, get a new mic stand. I think this stand is just old. I've used this mic stand. In fairness, I've used this mic stand for years now. I've used this same one mic stand since at least when we moved into the house. So it's entirely possible that we just need to replace this thing. But, anywho, welcome to our monthly Patreon hang. I'm also just going to ping the Patreon chat on our Discord real quick. Just let folks know, because I have no idea whether oh my God, Sarah's pinging me at the exact same time right now. Whether folks saw the post or not. It went out earlier in the week. Actually, you know what I can do? This will make things a little bit easier. There we go. Cool. Cool. Anywho, yeah, so hope everybody's been having a good Pokemon day so far. We got our last, depending on how you count it, last or second to last video of the day up. A very Pokemon themed day, though we're oh my God. There we go. Hello. Yeah, we got a bunch of Pokemon stuff up today, as well as the full cycle cut, which is, I couldn't think of a good name. Full cycle is about as good as I got, of Majora's Marathon, which was the full run of 72 hours minus the times where I was sleeping or the times where we were playing one of the Evo Land games, because we were essentially soft locked by time locked, if you will. Why do I have extra? I've got extra notifications in my Discord, and I don't know why. That's confusing. It's literally just my desktop app is confused. On the task on the bottom there, it says, "Oh, I got 5 notifications: 3 friend requests, 2 message requests, and those are work related." But on the top left under direct messages, it says 6, even though I have no unread messages. And that includes the friends and message request thing. So I don't know what the fuck is going on there. Anyway. Aloha. Yeah. So got the Majora's Marathon Supercut up, which is great. Almost exactly 32 hours, if I recall correctly. About 32 hours of gameplay. Which, not too bad. I had somewhat different expectations for that run, for that experience, than what we wound up with, but that's okay. It was extremely experimental from the start. So if it went exactly according to plan, I would have been more surprised. But I was expecting that we were not going to be able to get as much done as fast as we did in that game. We properly could have gotten everything done that wasn't a third day required thing by the end of the first day. There's almost nothing in the game that really, really wants just or ending with something on the second day. Almost nothing at all. And so the first day wound up being extremely content heavy. The second day had some stuff to do, and that was only because I specifically stopped at one point on day one because I was like, well, I'm exhausted, and if I keep going, we're gonna have literally nothing to do tomorrow. So let's pause and just uh, get back to it the next day. And then day three, we touched like twice before the end because there was so little left to do. But it was an interesting experience. I am never going to do it again, but I am going to clean up the mod so I can post it and allow people to inflict that on themselves if they're feeling so inclined or so deranged. Um, and then after that, it's all been Pokemon stuff. We had the Pokemon Presents this morning, which I'm not so callous or cynical to have been like, it could have been an email, but like it was a lot of pretty expectable stuff. The first glance at Gen 10 was pretty nice. We got to see the starters. 3 pretty decent starters. I don't think any of them have me going like, holy shit, yes. But all 3 of them have been variably popular with people, so that's pretty rad. Brout and Gekwa definitely feel like they're channeling Rowlet and Sobble. Maybe even a little Froakie in there for fun. But Pombon, at least, it is not remotely like any of the previous fire starters. The closest that you could even kind of argue would be like, I don't know, Fennekin or Litten. And even then, that's a huge stretch to match those up, since neither of them really have the same vibe that Pombon has. But yeah, it was interesting. We got camera panning around. We got an idea of like the default. Fido was in the oven a little long. Yeah. I've heard some comparisons to Fido. I've seen some comparisons to Growlithe, which again feels a little bit of a stretch. It's a dog that's fire type, but yeah, I mean the region looks interesting. It looks like a happy medium between Galar and Paldea. I guess we don't know what the region is based off of. I thought I remembered hearing a rumor years ago, not even related to the leaks, that like there was a point where they were considering one based off of like Greece or Italy, which I think would be pretty cool. I don't know enough about what Greece or Italy are like to know whether that seems like one of those areas. Could also be like a Polynesian, area or something. I don't know. We know there's a lot of water. We know there's stuff underwater. We are finally going to be able to like surf and not just surf, but dive. Hopefully, that's been something that's been sorely missing from Pokemon these last few generations. And it did look good. It did look very good. I hope they remembered to not render the entire ocean at once this time. And if they do that, I hope they remember to not make the planet larger than planet Earth this time. So yeah, I'm curious what we're gonna wind up with. I don't recall whether it said in the trailer whether it was also getting a Switch 1 release, but if it's 2027, I would have to imagine that they're going to be fully jumping to the Switch 2 at that point. I'm sure there will still be games made for the Switch in 2027, but I don't think that the first-party ones are likely to. The serpent-shaped cloud at the end of the trailer. I don't know if I noticed that, actually. Oh, we got the names, too. Pokemon Winds and Waves. Oh, my God. Why is it so hard to find this? Let's see. Hang on a second. Okay. There we go. Apologies. There's probably going to be some sound for a quick second here. Oh, actually, no. I can mute this tab. Then I don't have to worry about it. How is this? Oh, my God. There we go. Official Pokemon channel. Doopy doopy doop. Did they not? Okay, no, there we go. It's called First Look Pokemon Wins and Pokemon Waves. I was like, did they not put that one specifically? A serpent-shaped cloud at the end. I don't know if I see one. Oh. It does. Are you talking? There's one that looks like a little darker than the others. I suppose it's possible that that's meaning something. It does have kind of a Gyarados-like look to it, or maybe a Gorbis look. Like it's got kind of an eel shape. And then there's one that looks a little like a Bruxish next to it. And I already have it pulled. I wasn't ready to take a look at it there. So you're talking the one around like 245, 246 in the trailer. Yeah, it does look a little less excuse me, less cloud-like than some of the others there. Or like it does look like a cloud, but it could also be like a cloud being of some kind. Oh, I will say that just reminded me. I was going to make a comment about like the weather, not the weather trio. I don't know what their name is because I don't mean the Gen 3 legendaries. I mean the Gen 5 weather dudes. I'm one of the things that kind of bums me out about the way they do the genies, about the way they do those kinds of clusters these days is like, I don't mind Enamorus as a concept, but it feels weird to have like a pretty well set of Pokemon and then later on, seemingly arbitrary, they just kind of add stuff in. Same thing goes for the Reggies. You had Regice, Registeel, Regirock, Regigigas, and then no, I'm not enamored by it. And then they just kind of went, we're going to add a couple more. So we got Regieleki and Regidrake, I think. I don't remember. Aside from the fact that the dragon one feels real weird, the electric one also feels very strange. Like it's such an odd thing. And then for the genies, what have you, they wound up giving them like animalistic forms for stuff too, and it's like it's a very odd way of doing some of that stuff. I don't know. It's not like the end of the world or anything, but it's just like something that I've had critical thoughts about in the past. Sorry, my glasses are filthy right now. Regieleki and Regidrago bring the Regisaurus weak to fighting pattern, which yep. I also was a little bit like, I'm sure they're working on a bunch of stuff, and I am glad that they're taking their time with this. I don't want them to rush these games out. I am a little surprised that there were no other games. There were no other new games that were mentioned at all, which, like, granted, Pokemon is only so big as a company, and so they can only have so many things moving at a time. But at this point, I usually put Let's Go Johto on my bingo card as like a joke, because I don't think that they're doing it at this point. If they did, I'd be surprised. I wouldn't even necessarily be disappointed by it. But so we got Winds and Waves coming in 2027, which comes after Scarlet and Violet, which is 2022, which is that the longest break between games? 5 years? Let's see. Gold and Silver was after 3 years. Ruby Sapphire was 3 years. Diamond and Pearl was 4 years. Black and White was 4 years. Black and White 2 was 2 years. X and Y was 1 year. Sun and Moon was 3 years. Sword and Shield was 3 years. And Scarlet and Violet was 3 years. So yeah, it's the first time in a long time, actually, they've taken more than 3 years between, which is fine. as a counterpoint to that, not to that specifically, but um, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was 2021. It's already been 5 years since the last like remake type thing they've done. Which, to be fair, before Brilliant Diamond, I guess they had Let's Go, um, because they had uh, yeah, Fire Red and Leaf Green was 2004. Heart Gold Soul Silver was 5 years after that. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire was 5 years after that. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl was 7 years after that, but in between there we got Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, 4 years and 3 years. There's been a lot of DLC for stuff, but and yeah, like that is definitely true. The Legends games they tend to consider being part of the main series, which confuses things when you got Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet coming out in the same year in 2022. ZA being 2025, like that, you know. But I'm a little surprised that they're not doing any remake type stuff right now, or maybe they are and it's just not ready. I hope that, and again, if they do Gen 5 remakes, I hope they take their time with those. Those are, in my opinion, the best games in the entire franchise, Black and White. Still, to this day, if they're gonna remake them, it can't be Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl type stuff. It really needs to be like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, somewhere in between those. Like, granted, if they gave it the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl treatment, it would probably stand a little better just because Gen 5 is Gen 5 I think are just better games than Gen 4 in the first place. So they may be able to last a little better. Gen 4 is not my favorite, quite low on the list for me. And yeah, now we're just re-releasing games. Like, I'm glad that Fire Red and Leaf Green have been re-released in a way where now you can actually connect it to Pokemon Home. Because I want to say the chain is now broken thanks to the 3DS situation. It's not completely dead. I believe you technically can still get Pokemon from Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald all the way up to the top by way of Pokemon Bank and Pokemon Home. You have to trade over and over and over and over again, but then eventually get to Pokemon Bank, and then you can get to Pokemon Home. But it's a whole long-ass way to get there. I'm kind of surprised that Gen 1 and Gen 2 haven't gotten re-released in a similar fashion at this point. They were already basically good with the 3DS ports. They would need to connect them to Pokemon Home instead of Pokemon Bank, but like, I just don't understand what's happening there. Also, because of the way the release date stuff is happening, this will be 2026 is scheduled to be the first time in over a decade that there's just no releases in the kind of core, line, in the sense that it like not spin-offs. Because like, this is a list that counts like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, all that stuff. But like Pokopia being a very, very separate game. Because 2023, 2024 was entirely DLC releases. Same with 2020. But this year we're not looking to see anything. I don't know. But yeah, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness being on Nintendo Switch Online is pretty cool. Surprised that they did that before Coliseum. That's a little strange. I would like to play both of those games, and that would make it easier, but I feel like it'd be silly to do XD and then Coliseum. So yeah, I don't really know with that, but yeah, I don't know. I think that the Pokemon Presents today would have been a pretty decent Presents overall for a different year. For a 30th anniversary, it does feel a little bit less impressive. A bigger, better, more impressive sequel. That's good. That is very good. But yeah. I had mentioned at the end of it'd be hard to go back to Call after. That's the thing, right? Like it makes more sense to do them Coliseum XD. I'm curious if there was like a specific reason they didn't do Coliseum yet. It'd be interesting to see. I had mentioned during the stream this morning that I don't know. Odds are I'll wind up streaming Pokemon Winds or Waves when they come out next year. I'm only going to do one. I'm not going to do both. I don't know which one right now I would want to do. I don't know the difference between the two games right now. If it's the classic difference of there's just different Pokemon available, maybe some slight differences to characters or teams, but otherwise it's completely superficial, then I'm going to be going entirely off vibes for that. I'd probably go... I don't know. Me as a person, I think I'd prefer Waves, but also Winds seems like the more adventurous of the two, right? Have different outfits slightly. All right. I already am kind of behind on some of the stuff that's been revealed and announced just because it's tough. I wanna follow the news that they put out there, but the Pokemon Company puts out so goddamn much before these games come out. It's such a pain in the ass to want to know stuff, but it's like trying to fill a Dixie cup from a fire hose. Like, I want to know little things. I don't want you to tell me every character that's in the game and every new Pokemon and every Pokemon evolution and all the new gimmicks and everything. Like, let me explore it a little bit myself. It's very frustrating. Yeah, I saw the hoverboard thing. My bet is it's going to do at least one of the following three things, if not two or three. One, I'm going to bet that they haven't gone crazy with reveals since Alola. I don't know if I agree with that. Alola was bad. It was like every other day there was like a new reveal thing. It's like, dude, you have to stop. I bet that it does one of the following three things. One, acts as a surfboard, so you don't need to have a surf Pokemon, and they don't have to contrive a funky item to use. Two, I think it might be the equivalent of running shoes. It could be a way to move quickly across stuff without the need for, Koraidon, Miraidon type situation. Three, possibly much later on, it could be a thing that you could fly on to some extent, or maybe glide on. I don't know. Hoverboard also seems like a switch. Oh, that's kind of interesting. So maybe it also serves as, Rotom phone type stuff too. Could be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be... We'll have to see how that shakes out. I'm interested in playing it. I don't know which starter I would go with if I had to pick today. I could see myself picking any of the three of them. The one that calls to me the most right now is probably Brout. But I could see myself picking any of the three. It will really depend on my mood when that happens. But yeah, we'll probably wind up streaming that, same as Pokemon Violet. It'll just be a continuous stream series, and we'll tackle that and play through it, see what they come up with. And it's funny with Violet. I want to say I think we played it at launch, streamed it till. Did I play it at launch? I thought I did. I don't remember now. Or was I still playing Persona 3 at the time? I don't remember. Pomeranian get larger and fluffier for evolution sizing. Yeah, that's been a very popular thing, myself included, being like, just make it more of that. Not like more biologically in the sense of making a buff Pomeranian or whatever. Like, just keep it a Pomeranian. Just make it a bigger, maybe a fluffier one. That's about it. It could even just be the same exact thing but larger. It reminds me of Palafin, where it evolves and then looks exactly the same until you do stuff, and it's like, ah, okay. But yeah, so it was an interesting start to the day. We put out another Pokemon Legends ZA. We put out a pair of Pokemon Heart Gold episodes. I didn't realize when I was recording Heart Gold earlier in the week that I had an episode that we had never put up from back in, I think, July of last year, because the plan was whenever John came by to record again, to record Heart Gold Soul Silver again, I would just lump it in with those as opposed to doing just like a one-off just a one-off episode on like a Monday or whatever. Yeah. Pokemon Day has a whole lot going on. But yeah, like, so I didn't realize that I had that. So the episode opens with me being like, hey, happy Pokemon Day. And then I realize as I'm in the episode, I'm like, oh, there's probably another one that's kicking around, isn't there? So, oops. So we put up both. The schedule. So, man, it's tricky. The schedule is crazy. And I know I've kind of talked about this a little bit here and there. I think the ultimate plan is just to keep doing what I've been starting to do. I haven't been doing it as much as I could be, but to just kind of do more solo series, just because the more I tie series to individual people, the more those series being able to progress and conclude is tied into other people's availability. And we're all old enough and doing things that it's difficult sometimes to make that kind of time. So I don't know. There will probably be a lot more solo series, a lot more me and Sarah series. Just, because if I'm waiting for folks for everything, then it does make it hard to plan, especially just because we don't always know ahead of time if we're going to be able to make a weekend work for recording things. So that's kind of where that is at. Some things are going to be tied to people regardless. Like the padlocks obviously are gonna be me and John, because it isn't what that is without. Star Force is gonna be me and Jeff, just because we've been doing that for so long at this point that it really wouldn't make sense to not do that. Other than those two series specifically, though, I don't know. I'm kind of doing my best to keep folks in on certain series, but I don't think I'm necessarily going to be not like, I'm not going to be like requiring their presence or anything like that, but like I need to be able to keep stuff moving, which also has been difficult because of work things. I'll breeze through this pretty quickly, but yeah, so work has been very busy. I've had a lot of responsibilities put onto my plate that I need to stay on top of, because I need to keep this job, because I got a mortgage. And over the past handful of weeks in particular, basically since the last one of these, I've had some projects put on my plate that have demanded a lot more attention out of me than the previous ones had. I think I'm out of the weeds with most of it right now, but I had been almost nearly every night was a late night, working on stuff. Sometimes I would stream, and then after the stream I would log back onto work and keep working on stuff, and weekends and things too. Like it's been crazy. So I've been putting out what I can for videos. We still have. What do we still have? We still have a handful of Pokemon Legends ZA videos. I have a little. I have about a week and a half of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds and a similar amount of Kirby Air Riders. I probably have a week's worth of Mario Kart World, and then I've got a handful more Pokemon Insurgents, which I'm going to try to keep going just generally anyway. All of those are not going to be airing at the same time, more than likely, just because I don't have enough time myself to be able to edit that much for any given like day, 5 days a week. Something's rolling around upstairs. So there will be some decisions to make on that as far as like week to week how stuff's going to work. I think that the stuff that's going to be near the front priority wise is going to be Pokemon Legends ZA, because it's one of our kind of main series and it's a long game ultimately, so we want to keep that moving. Mario Kart World, we are inching closer to actually finishing that. I've got a few more courses to explore for question block panels, and then we got some racing cups, and then at that point it's going back through the world with a tracker and hitting up what's left of the collectibles. But that's getting close. Probably after that would be Insurgents, just because I would love to actually get through that one. As of the recording session that I most recently did, we're in the next gym city. I have more stuff to do before I can challenge the gym, but the 7th gym is actually like pretty close now. And there's only about 5 locations in the game that we haven't been to yet, at least of stuff that's on the map. So I think stuff is going to speed up, or is going to keep speeding up as we go forward. I'm anxious about the end of the game because I'm kind of expecting I'm going to need essentially a level 100 team to get through like the Elite Four, whatever that winds up being. I did get another name for an Elite Four member, but I didn't get any other information. So I'm just like, well. But yeah, so we're going to kind of play stuff by ear. Once I can get Cross Worlds and Kirby Air Riders started, I will probably keep going with both of those solo, just to keep them moving if I have to. It depends who's around for recording on various weekends, but because I do want to keep those moving. I'd mentioned before Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. We're not going to be in that one for very long. Literally, I think we're going to have like 25 episodes, like on the dot, is my expectation. So once we get started, if I keep that moving the whole time, that's basically a month. And then we'll be out of there and we'll be back into like Sonic Riders and stuff. Kirby Air Riders, on the other hand, we're probably going to be at for a little while. And then when we're done with that, it's not really getting replaced with anything because the Kirby stuff is now outside of the Nightmare streams. It's whenever we have a new game. It's been neat so far. I will spoil that it's been much more enjoyable than the original. I think part of that is it's not interlaced video. The nice, crisp, high def makes it easier on the eyes in a lot of ways. At least I think. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But it's been pretty good so far. We took a look into Road Trip. It's been a pretty enjoyable. It's basically if Smash Brothers fused. Essentially, I mean, Smash Run in Smash Brothers is literally City Trial from Kirby Air Ride, but essentially smash that together with the classic mode, specifically classic mode from Smash 4, outer laced video. But it's a pretty neat idea for a mode. I kind of dig that. Um, yeah, but it has been fun. I've been enjoying that. It's still not like one of my favorite games ever or anything. I don't think I'm ever going to be a Kirby Air Ride like Stan or anything, but it has been a lot better this time around for me. Um, and I would even go so far as to say I will probably enjoy trying to 100% that later on for nightmare streams down the line. But yeah, so that's kind of where that's at. Um, as for other things, so that is also to explain why videos have still been a little bit slow. We've been operating on a lot of backlog. Um, Fell out of the groove. That's fair, and that does happen. One thing that's nice about the nightmare streams in terms of that is it does directly incentivize me to keep pushing on that. Uh, because one, it's in front of people, so there's the performance element, but also, uh, by committing to it, it's like, hey, this won't end until we end it, kind of thing, you know. But so let's see. I may as well do the list right now, and then it'll be easier to chill for a bit. But other games, Donkey Kong Bonanza. We have reached the end of our backlog. We no longer have Donkey Kong Bonanza episodes from late last year sitting there waiting to be posted. All of the stuff they recorded is now online. We are going to get back into it soon. We might get into it this weekend. Sarah's going to be gone for a good chunk of tomorrow, so I don't know how likely it's going to be. Um, Same goes for Echoes of Wisdom. We have no Echoes of Wisdom in the can. We may try to get some of that done on Sunday. We will see. I want to get Echoes of Wisdom moving because I also do want to get into Hyrule Warriors at some point. But I cannot justify starting Hyrule Warriors while we're still in the middle of Echoes of Wisdom. Uh, Unless we are actively moving on Echoes of Wisdom and Hyrule Warriors becomes a weekend thing, which I had considered. That may still be the way that goes, but I at least want to get more Echoes of Wisdom going first before we bring Hyrule Warriors in. I mentioned Mario Kart World. We're probably down to, I don't know. I was gonna say we're probably down to like another maybe another month of episodes there, but like it's probably gonna be more than that. The cups are probably gonna be 1 cup per episode, and I've done, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them, mostly as part of streams. So I've got those plus knockout tours, so it's probably going to be like a dozen-ish episodes just for that. So it's probably going to be more like 30 or so episodes. So maybe like a month and a half, 2 months. It'll still be going after the anniversary stream, but it'll be like just about done. Plus, with the tracker, we're not going to be wandering so much. That's been a big part of, especially some of the earlier episodes, was just kind of driving around, just looking for things. Now we'll actually I have a tracker. I'll be able to refer to that, and we'll just be able to find stuff. So that'll make that easier. I have not recorded out to the rest of the question block panels yet, but I think I can pull up the tracker and I can see exactly which things we have left. Let's see. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 courses that have question block panels still, and then we'll be all wrapped up with that. And then at that point, yeah, once we're done with the question block panels, I'm going to switch it over to the Grand Prix. Because at the very least, we will unlock the rest. We will unlock most of the rest of the characters that we need, minus minions. And there's also a sticker you can only get if you complete the special cup in Grand Prix mode. So we got to do that if we want to get all the stickers in the game. And then we'll come back around and do P switches and Peach medallions. The good news about the Peach medallions is that most of them are just a matter of finding and then reaching them, and a lot of those can be done pretty easily with standard moveset, mushroom, feather. There's not too many that are going to be a big problem besides that. P switches are still going to be tough. but we're about halfway through those right now. We'll probably be more than halfway done with them by the time we're clear. Most of the P switches and Peach medallions that are left are like between courses, which doesn't surprise me. It would make the most sense that they would be panels, Peaches, P switches. Yeah, the 3 Ps, nice. But yeah, so it'll be interesting. I don't think I'm going to be like sad when it's gone in the same way that like when Persona 3 and 4 were over, I was like, these were neat. I'm going to be sad that this isn't going to be part of my like regular routine anymore. That there's no new stuff left over to still discover or find. I won't be that level of sad, but it has been kind of zen in its own way. There's something about it that has been kind of relaxing, even when it's difficult. And I don't know if that's because I've been doing it as a solo series. It's totally possible that it's just a nice meditative way to play by myself, or if it's something else about it specifically. It does. I feel like it does scratch a little bit of the psychological itch of. So I haven't had a car in many years, but I did like to just drive sometimes, just to have an excuse to just go and drive around and just whatever. So maybe there's a little of that. I don't know. Between the open road and the soundtrack being heavily like jazz and bluegrass inspired, it's definitely got a little bit of like a specifically American kind of flair to it. I don't know. I like it. I'll be sad when it's over. Pokemon Legends ZI, I'd already kind of talked about that a little bit. I want to say in the recordings we're up to rank W. We have at least another week or two, maybe even 3. No, not 3. But we probably have another week or 2 of episodes left before we run out. And Peter's actually going to be swinging in tomorrow, per a message from about 20 minutes ago. So we will almost certainly be recording more of that then. So that'll be a good time. I'm trying to remember if we actually got the message to do our rank up to V yet. I don't think we did. I'm sure that after a while the rank up messages are probably generally a little closer together. It's interesting how the game essentially is compartmentalizing itself into 25 pieces by doing this. So kind of interesting. Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So I think Artemu was the one who had commented on the first video of today. Oh, not so much. All right, fair enough. Artemu had commented like, great to see the series back. And I was like, kind of. The first episode was an old one, a very old recording that I put up because, like I mentioned before, I had it and I didn't realize that I had one episode sitting. It's actually the same thing that happened with Pokemon Ultra Sun, where I had one episode that was hanging on to for the next time around, and then the next time around never happened. This is one that it would happen at some point, but I wanted to put out a video for each of our Pokemon series on Pokemon Day, and then continue onward as to the best of my ability, which has gotten complicated. Heart Gold and Soul Silver rely on John being here, which, you know, obviously that's always been a limiting factor for that series. Insurgents, I've been doing solo since we came back, and I'm perfectly fine with doing that. I was actually going to, it's not happening, I was going to record more Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, and then the 3DS just broke. I posted a picture to the Discord, but the connector, the thing that connects the USB, the USB micro into the 3DS to do the physical hardware recording, just popped right off the board. So currently the 3DS is out of commission. Sarah said that she'll take a look at it and do what she can to try to solder it back on. And failing that, we're going to send it back into Loopy to have him do repairs on it. The problem with that is that's a 3-week turnaround, which at this point, 3 weeks from now is like right before MagFest, not MagFest, right before PAX East, which is also going to be right before the 15th anniversary stream, which is right before the Mario Party Madness 99 turn game, which is right before I go to Scotland for a week. So if we have to send the 3DS in, there's going to be no DS or 3DS streaming or 3DS recording until mid-April, which really sucks for it to just be out of commission for up to 2 months. Like I said, Sarah's going to take a look at it. If she is able to fix it, then we'll see on the Super Mystery Dungeon. I may focus on other stuff for a little bit anyway. I was originally like, okay, well, we don't have much in the way of weekend stuff right now because Jeff is away, and we don't have Kingdom Hearts ready to go yet either. I've been working on something for Kingdom Hearts for months now, by the way. I've been toiling away in the background on something that I'm quite proud of so far. But once it's ready, it'll be ready, But I figured Super Mystery Dungeon wouldn't be a half bad weekend series for me to do solo if need be. But we'll see how their pairs go. We'll kind of play it by ear. And yeah, I mentioned before, Pokemon Insurgents is also back. I intend at this point to actually just see it all the way through. I recorded some with what time I had this week. I think I recorded like an hour and a half or so. Yeah, it was actually almost 2 hours, come to think of it. 4 pretty beefy episodes. And literally the second I was done, I was like, I want to do more like right now. Like it felt good in a way that I haven't felt with Insurgents in a long time, even bringing it back last time. It both felt good in the sense that I was having fun actually getting through it, and also even during the tense moments, I was like, okay, this is interesting. This is a neat way to be kind of handling this whole situation. So I'm sure that more will get recorded this weekend. And I'm going to do my best to kind of just keep pushing through. It still feels like a complete miracle that the Nuzlocke is still alive in Insurgents somehow. I genuinely have no idea how that Nuzlocke is still with us, but it is. So that's pretty neat. And I'm going to keep it going for as long as I can. I'm going to keep it going until the game tells me that I've fucked it. We've made it through 6 gyms. We're going to see if we can go through the 7th. The characters in game are telling me that the 7th gym leader is really scary to deal with. So we'll see how that happens. Get my Nuzlocke through to the Elite Four, then fell down at the first hurdle. Oh no! I think at this point we've gotten details in game about each of the 4 Elite Four members. At least a name or a basic description. Well, I got the name, I think, Yuki in the most recent session, but I was told nothing else about them. Also, I just wanted to look here. So, Pokemon Sun had... so, Pokemon Legends Arceus had 156 episodes, but we weren't Nuzlocking. Pokemon Sun, John did that one, and there's 159 episodes. However, that would have included 12 face-off battles. So 147 actual episodes who are past Pokemon Sun. Even time-wise, it's actually very close there, too. So Pokemon Brilliant Diamond is the only one that has more episodes of actual progress in-game. At 206, minus the 9 face-offs, makes 197. However, we do need to break off the post-game, I think, to like really accurately get that. And the post-game had 66 episodes to it. So yeah, the last face off that John and I had, or the last, yeah, 130 episodes of actual progress. So Insurgents has actually been, since 2015 2016, has been the most episodes of real Nuzlocke progress we've ever put into a Pokemon game. Pre-post game. Yuki is probably ice. Is Yuki Japanese for ice by chance? I have no idea. Or is it just like tonally? Just going off of like, what would it be, phonemes? Snow. Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense then. Doubly so if they're keeping up the like twin type thing that they've been doing before. Not before, thing that they've been doing so far. Could be like water and ice or something. Which reminds me, I actually want to go and look back at the 6 gym battles and remind myself what the types were. Because I guess there's like exactly enough types if they're all doubled like that, but Frostlass's name in Japanese has Yuki in it. Oh, okay. Nice. Very cool. But yeah. I'm excited to keep Insurgents going. I'm feeling a drive with that I haven't felt in a long time. So I want to like grab that and keep going with it. So whether it's by myself or with Sarah or Peter this weekend or whatever, there will be more of that gets recorded. There are more episodes that haven't gone live yet. But those will probably come out starting like Monday, Tuesday, something like that. Other stuff. I mentioned Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Like I said, we got like a week and a half's worth of episodes that have been in the can forever. I finally had a breakthrough. I've had the worst writer's block for the intros for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds and for Kirby Air Riders, and I finally uncorked the bottle. It's been driving me fucking nuts. Because like there's only so many ways, like not like there needs to be like a gimmick or like there needs to be a skit or anything like that necessarily. But just even starting these videos out, you can't just be like, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is a video game released in 2025. It's like, unless that is going somewhere specific, then that doesn't really work. It's very dumb, but it was enough to get the creative juices flowing and enough to start actually getting a script to come together. So I am planning to record both of those tomorrow. And we should be seeing both of those series start on Monday. That's the plan anyway. Non-zero chance that we have all 3 modern mascot racing games running at the same time on the same days. Entirely possible. We'll see what happens. Yeah. What else? Resident Evil. I gotta chat with Siege about that because we had like loose plans for stuff. We're obviously not ready to start just yet. We need to figure out whether we're going to play Resident Evil Requiem right now, or whether we're going to play the Resident Evil Outbreak games, which Requiem is to at least some extent a sequel to. Or are we going to hold off on Requiem, keep going on the main series, because Resident Evil 6, I believe, has Leon in it. Not like I'm expecting it to be important to Requiem. I think Capcom is trying to... I knew it was going to happen. I think Capcom is trying to make everyone forget that Resident Evil 6 ever happened in the first place. But there we go. It should be good in a second here. But I don't know. I got to talk with him. I got to pick his brain. I have a bunch of intros to record with him. Doom the Dark Ages, the game he's doing after Doom: The Dark Ages, and then at least one Resident Evil intro, whether it's 5 or 9 or Outbreak. I think there was actually another intro that we wanted to get done too. I don't remember though. But we have a lot of work to do there. So we'll see how that goes. Played RE5 recently and they had like nothing good to say about the narrative. Ooh, oh no. Oh, how much worse 6 is? So 5, my understanding is the narrative was complete dog shit. I think 5 was the one that took place in Africa, which carried a lot of baggage thanks to not really thinking through the premise of the game very well on Capcom's part when doing that. A bunch of white dudes in military gear shooting a bunch of African zombies is, yeah, it's not good. Not good. Really not well thought out on anyone's part. Really doesn't look great. My understanding is that the gameplay is worse than 4, kind of by a long stretch. 4 is still considered a really like a pinnacle of its own genre. 5, the gameplay is worse. My understanding is that 6, while the narrative is less humiliatingly bad, the gameplay is just complete crap. So it's one thing to have a shit narrative, but the game is still fun. It's another when the narrative is fine, but the game is not fun to play. And I think that's usually where 5 and 6 tend to land. There's a reason that Resident Evil 7 Biohazard was such a big deal when it came out, because the Resident Evil franchise was basically on life support at that point. Yeah, exactly. Gameplay matters more to me as well. There are games that I wouldn't play because the story is bad, not in the sense of like, oh, it wasn't written well, but like, ooh, I don't like the story that is being told here. But more so than that, if a game plays like shit, it doesn't matter how good the story is. I'm probably just gonna piece. So I don't know. They both matter, but I would say they matter in different ways, you know? But yeah, Resident Evil 6 almost killed the franchise. So we'll be interested to see how that goes. My hope is that we do Outbreak 2, Requiem, and then we get back into the series, do 5, do 6. I think there was one more game in between those that we were looking to do. And then my hope is that by the time we wrap that up, there's a Resident Evil 10 of some form that we'll be able to cover to kind of not permanently wrap the series, but like, you know, kind of solve a puzzle at once. I just want to see the plot. Yeah. Yep. I get that. It's been interesting. So I will say, I'll spoil this, I suppose. We have recorded some more episodes of some, more than one, grand finale games. One of those games is 999. And it's very interesting because I like the story. I'm intrigued by the story. And I do like the gameplay. I like the puzzle solving. But I found that anytime we switched from one to the other, my brain got a little bit sad because I wanted to do more of the thing we were just doing. You know what I mean? 999 is one of the portable games. Oops. Yes, but it's a DS game. So where Eek. The DS is still recordable. I don't know how well you can see this, but this guy right here, it's very blurry. This guy right here, this plug still works. So the DS can still be recorded from. The reason I can't stream DS games is because the DS. So when you plug in the cable on the DS, the cable on the top, USB micro, this will capture video only. You then have to capture the audio through the actual headphone jack, which would be fine, except when streaming, the line in that we use is going into the MacBook to capture this. Right now, it is plugged into the computer, what would normally be plugged in the DS. For the 3DS, for whatever reason, when you plug in the USB cable, it actually is capturing both video and audio at the same time. The only reason that we would want to plug in the audio would be... Usually we plug in the audio because it records cleaner audio, which is better for the Let's Play pre-recorded stuff. When streaming, it's a little harder to notice, and it's also usually quieter. But we can go without for that. Like it's not a huge deal. So we can record DS footage. We cannot stream DS footage, and we can't do anything with 3DS footage. But yeah, so 999 we've touched a little bit more. It's been interesting to see. We're finally starting to get stuff moving. And yeah, anytime we switch from puzzle to plot or vice versa, I'm always like, I wanted to do more plot, or I want to do more puzzles. But I think that's just kind of the nature of the beast. Those like puzzle, visual novel type adventure games always kind of have to grapple with that sooner or later. Same thing with Ace Attorney. Anytime we're done with an investigation phase, I'm always like, I wanted to go look around and do more stuff. Anytime we leave the courtroom, it's like, the puzzle's over? Damn. Wanted to do more interrogation. But that's been good. We've recorded other stuff too. But I just haven't gotten around to editing that yet because I haven't had time. If we wind up running out of other backlog stuff that is more active, then those will wind up getting posted. 999 may wind up going. I don't know if I'll have time to get it done for this weekend, but that is ultimately going to be a weekend series when it does start getting posted. 30-minute episodes, give or take. Just because for a game like that that's so deliberately paced, you really need a full half hour just to get through stuff. 15 minutes wouldn't be nearly enough. Virtual Hide. I have one more episode in the can for that, but we're not done with the game. So I think when Peter comes over tomorrow, we're going to try to finish it. Long-winded narrative games on the weekends, you don't say, yeah, I mean, it's the best place for them. It's a lot easier to justify getting half-hour games up on weekends than it is in the middle of the week. Let's do it on this side. There we go. My lips are super dry. I apologize. They look gross. What was I going to say? Oh, Virtual Highlight. Yeah. I suspect that we'll finish up the game in this next recording session. It's probably going to wind up being like, I don't know, 12 or 13 episodes in total. I think episode 8 still needs to go up. I don't know what the most recent one was off the top of my head. I can find out though. Oh, never mind. We've only put up 5. So I guess 6 is going to be the one that goes up next. So it'll be less than 12 then. It's probably going to be closer to like 10. It's an interesting game. There's almost a good game there. It's just way too shallow of a game experience. And that's ignoring like gameplay issues. Like the controls are not good. The music is pretty middling with the exception of the volcano, which has been a fucking banger for some reason. But at least now I can say I've played Virtual Highlight. Weird stuff. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. We are going to play that. I do own it. It's up on the shelf right now. I want to get Echoes of Wisdom moving a little more first, just because I would like to get through that more before we embark on another Zelda game. That'll also probably be a weekend series once that gets started as well. Just because I might go back to what I was trying to do with the original Hyrule Warriors, which was like one battle per day, regardless of the length, essentially. It'll be easier to do on weekends than on weekdays. And if that's a weekend series, then we can get back to the Legendary Let's Play Reawakens project, Echoes of Wisdom, and then getting back into the other weekday stuff while Hyrule Warriors is going on the weekends. Star Force 3 postgame. Jeff, I believe, is going to be available again in about 2 weeks. So we'll be able to get more of that going soon. The list is getting quite small now. The list is getting quite small indeed. Bunch of boss fights. And then, like, I don't know, 4-ish areas in the game to, like, get other cards from. And then stuff we're going to buy. So, like, we're actually winding it down more than it would feel like. The hardest part is going to be grinding those boss cards. We have areas to go that they'll appear in the most often, but it's just gonna be kind of a pain in the ass, which, like, it always is. But and then we're done with Star Force, which is kind of wild. On the plus side, there's some new material kicking around in the realm of Battle Network. I think we now have both of network games have been preserved, as well as another one whose name escapes me. Three mobile games have gotten preserved. One of them has a full-on, I think actually all three of them might have full-on English patches now too. So we're not going to be entirely done with stuff, but we're going to be done with it's essentially going to be a Battle Network Star Force post game of its own. But it is going to be sad to have moved on from these at long last. We will have played Mega Man Battle Network and Star Force games for about 11 and a half years, I guess. A little over 11 years by the time we're done. A lot more gaps lately, but, like, it's just wild to think about. Kingdom Hearts, I already mentioned. That's not ready to start yet. I've got a project I'm working on for that. And we just haven't had time to hit technically the first Kingdom Hearts Union Cross session. And as I was hoping would be the case, it's been long enough that I've forgotten everything that I wound up having to look up in order to properly divide that into its relevant pieces. Because I think the order of operations is first chunk of Union Cross, Kingdom Hearts 3, second chunk of Union Cross, Remind, third chunk of Union Cross, first chunk of Dark Road, Melody of Memory, and then I think there's one more chunk of Union Cross, and then the rest of Dark Road. And then hopefully by the time we get there, Kingdom Hearts 4 at least has a release date. I might be forgetting one thing that's in there, but that's most of it. But we'll see in a couple weeks if we have time to get through there. The first chunk of Union Cross is certainly the longest. It's like almost half of Union Cross, so it's probably a day's worth of recording. But we'll see what we can pull together there. Super Mystery Dungeon, we talked about that. We gotta figure out what's going on with the 3DS first. And then other stuff that's on here that isn't really moving at the moment. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things, a lot of pieces. I didn't even mention Mario Tennis. I'm realizing because I started on that, and I might wait until Mario Kart World is over first. But I do want to check out the story mode of Mario Tennis Fever. It just seems like a fun little thing to dick around with. My understanding is that the story mode is quite short, like 3 or 4 hours short. So depending on how things go with other recording things, I may just pick a night and play through the whole thing, and then just put out episodes when I've got time. This weekend, I probably have other stuff that I would want to focus on first. Like, I would at least want to, even if I was recording by myself all weekend, I think I would at least want to finish up the question block panels in Mario Kart World and get more of Pokemon Insurgence done, like at least to the 7th gym. Among other stuff, probably. But tennis will probably be on the will probably hang out in the background for a little while, and then I'll I don't know if there's gonna be other Mario Tennis streams. I think that was just kind of like a release date thing. Excuse me. But we'll see if anything else comes up there. As for the streaming stuff, so tonight, sorry, that probably made a noise in the mic. In about 45 minutes, possibly a little longer. I've got a little bit of setup stuff I'm tweaking, but around 9 o'clock tonight, we're going to be getting back into the Rattata streams, Pokemon the very best, where I am aiming to level Strats the Rattata from level, what did we catch him at, 2 to level 100 on Route 1. We have 1 million experience points. I believe he is currently at, actually, I don't know if it's a he or she. They do not have a gender right now. But they are currently at level 15. After about an hour and 40 minutes of streaming. It was actually a very short stream. I forget why, but it was a super short stream. Tonight's will be much longer. Tonight's will be a longer one by at least double. So, but level 15 after an hour 40 sounds great. It is a lot less far along than it sounds. Not to like dampen the whole thing, but to put it this way, if you're growing linearly experience wise, the halfway point from level 1 to level 100 is around level 80. Because it grows exponentially, the experience point requirement to get to the next level. Rattata is very easy to work with because the experience points needed to get to level X is the cube of X. So the experience points needed to get to level 100 is 100 cubed, 1 million experience. To get to level 10, it's 10 cubed, it's 1,000 experience. To get to 20, it's 20 cubed, which is 8,000 experience, and so on and so forth. So at level 15, we are looking at a little over 3,000 experience points. Yeah, around there. The exact number would be 3,375. So we'll say 3,400 experience points. So we have a very long way to go. But we're gonna do that later on tonight. We're going to be determining, using the channel's D points on Twitch, what one of my starters is going to be, was what I put into the Patreon post. Which gen it's going to be is going to be decided randomly during the stream tonight. But we're going to decide which starter we're going to do based off of people's votes. It's such a silly way of doing it, but it's also like a way to give an outlet for the D points that we're not using otherwise, because I never have enough time to actually sit and think through better uses for them. But that'll be the poll that's going on there. The plan is that Mondays are going to be Rattata streams, occasionally interrupted by interrupted is maybe the wrong word, but like bouncing between that and Mario Party Madness occasionally. The main reason there is just by keeping Metroid on Wednesdays, it should be almost entirely uninterrupted. The only stuff that's really going to be getting in the way of that, this past week was ironically like the one time we had a Wednesday Madness related thing. We usually don't have Wednesday stuff. The only stuff that's likely to interrupt I'll get into that in 1 second. I want to finish explaining what the plan is, and then I will get into that because I did want to talk about that. Yeah, the only stuff that's likely to interrupt Metroid on Wednesday is like if I'm physically not able to be around, which would be when I'm going to Scotland mid-April. There's also I need to figure out for PAX East if I'm going to be headed into Boston on Wednesday night or not of that week. If so, then there won't be Metroid Prime. If not, then there will. And then if I've got like a work trip, which I've got one that's happening end of May that I'm figuring out more details for. So to explain for anybody who doesn't know, anybody who's watching this, so the plan with Metroid has kept kind of shifting, and it is my fault that it has moved around. Because originally it was a Wednesday series was the intent. It got delayed from starting when I wanted it to because of Sonic Weekathon, which we did okay with that one actually this year. Last year Sonic Weekathon was a whole fucking thing. But we did Sonic Weekathon, and then we started Metroid after that during the Metroid Prime series. 1, 2, Pinball, Hunters, 3, Federation Force 4. And the intent to start it was that we would do it on Wednesdays. And then once Smash Brawl was done, we're going to be making that a Monday and Wednesday thing so we could focus on that, because the original goal was to essentially do what we did with the Screwy Let's Play back in 2021. I forget what year it was. Whenever Dread came out, the idea was that we were going to play through the mainline Metroid games and then play Metroid Dread when that came out. And we actually got through it so fast, which I wasn't expecting. We got through it faster than expected. So I added in Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Return of Samus Returns, whatever. I forget which one's which for the subtitles. The 1 and 2 remakes. And then we still were there, so we did Metroid Other M. I forget which order that happened in, but we did 3 extra games in there. And so we were trying to do the same thing with the Screwy Let's Play Prime, where it was going to be Metroid Prime 1, all the series up until Federation Force, with the intent of starting 4 very close to when 4 came out. And then we wound up having delays on getting that started. And then the Sonic Weekathon 5, I think, wound up happening and wrapping up. And then Brawl took much longer to wrap up at the very, very end than I thought it was going to. Legit, probably a good 15 to 20 hours longer than I was expecting at the tail end, which sucked. And then the goal would have been to do Metroid on Mondays and Wednesdays. And I understand that people are upset that the plan has moved around again on that. I am keeping Metroid on Wednesdays, if nothing else, because I do want to keep it moving. The logic there was between the 2 days, Wednesday is the more reliably open night. And I figured keeping Metroid on Wednesday meant that we can keep, Metroid happening and moving, and it's not going to get delayed by basically anything. On the Monday side of things, I wound up deciding to have these Pokemon Rattata streams on Mondays for the time being, partly because the original goal there was I was hoping to spend more of 2025 doing those streams, and then between scheduling things and I think I was still doing Persona 4 at the time, and not to like start going down this particular road, but I wasn't doing super great in 2025 for a good chunk of it. I had barely managed to get my hands on a freelancing gig that very abruptly dried up in like early to mid 2025. And it was already sounding like it was going to dry up from the start of the year, and it was not making me very much money. I was kind of not really able to keep up with even like the mortgage on the house. Sarah was covering that, and we're figuring that stuff out, and that kind of weighed on my brain a lot, and it definitely resulted in a handful of nights scattered throughout the year where I just wasn't feeling it for streaming. Like it just kind of wasn't. I don't know. It's tough because it is a performative sort of thing, which is a weird word to use. That's maybe not the right word. A performance type thing. There's a certain element of performance that goes into it. I don't try to like put on a show and like be, you know, some fake dude or anything like that. But like, there's a certain amount of like you have to be willing to be on camera, be funny, or at least try, and to be able to focus enough on the game to be able to like make progress on stuff. And there were more than a few nights last year where I could tell that I was not gonna be very good on that front. And the end result of this was too many times where I wound up essentially calling in sick, more right, not literally the times I called in sick. There were a few times where I was actually sick, and I said as much, but um, calling out of work essentially with the streams, which delayed stuff a lot. It made stuff fall behind, and the projects like Pokemon the Very Best, which is one that I thought was like strange enough to be interesting. The initial goal was to start last February and end this February. Like my intent was to be done around now, and so here we are a year later, and I literally haven't even had a second stream until tonight, until 35 minutes plus question mark from now. And I don't want and like the intent of this is not to be like a pity thing. I don't want it, anything like that. I don't want to, I'm doing okay. I'm doing better now. I'm stressed with stuff, but that's a different story. Stressed is at least a better place in my mind than depressed, which is where I was for a good chunk of last year. But I don't know. I just worry sometimes when I do, and I know that I get myself into too many projects. I like to come up with stuff and try to initiate weird things, and sometimes that does result in me biting off more than I can chew and creating too many outlets for stuff, and then it gets unmanageable. And I know that's a problem sometimes, and it's a valid criticism that folks have had now and in the past. And I just like, I don't know. I'm not worried that we will get through Metroid. I feel bad that people are upset that we are not going to be spending as frequent a time on it as I had said that we would earlier in the year, or was it either earlier in this year or at the end of last year? Like, I fully understand that. I do feel bad about that. I don't like upsetting people. I don't like making people feel irritated because they were looking forward to something and then the plans change. Like I fully understand that, and I do take responsibility for that. And yeah, I don't know. I tried to find what felt like a good middle ground of ensuring the most secure and stable place to put Metroid such that we could keep making progress on it, so that one doesn't get interrupted, doesn't go on the back burner or anything, which is kind of where it lives on the Wednesday side of things, because Wednesday virtually never gets interrupted with stuff. And even if you wind up looking into the events on the Discord, I want to say the Pokemon Rattata streams, for the recurring event, there are like 4 separate Mondays out of the next like 8 that all are on there as canceled dates for it because there's other stuff that's in there. Some of those are Mario Party Madness, which I also know is not everybody's bag. I know that I do that. I do those a lot. And I understand that can also be a frustrating thing for folks that are not into it. Whether it's specific people that are in there sometimes, or if it's just the whole conceit of it, or if it just feels like it's too much of a distraction. I completely understand that. And there's definitely times I do try to pump the brakes on it too. I'm intending to do so as we get into March and April a little bit more to try to rein it in a little bit, because it does get to be a bit much. And I think part of the reason I go so hard into that, I would say that it's kind of threefold. I think, yeah, and that's like totally understandable. There's a shitload of it that happens. There's a lot of it. I would say that there's probably like 3-ish reasons that I do keep up with it as much as I do. One, is probably, and this is kind of multifaceted, but like I've spent a lot of time over the past 6 years now. It's about to be 6 since the pandemic started. Grappling with the notion that the more group dynamic, not in the sense of like, oh, we've got, here's Peter for Pokemon Legends EA, here's Jeff for Star Force, but like group 3, 4, 5 people mostly doesn't happen anymore. People's schedules are just too difficult to actually coordinate in that way at this point. So we kind of do things one at a time, and it bums me out a bit. It's no one's fault. I don't think there's any like fingers to point or people to blame or anything like that. I think it's just kind of the way things go. But I would say that it's not unreasonable to see that there's like a very strong difference between the general vibe of the D-pad in the 2010s versus the general vibe of the D-pad in the 2020s. I don't think that's an incorrect, thing to recognize as a difference between them. And so there's a part of me that misses that. Not even there's a big part of me that misses that. I do miss those kinds of recording sessions. They were murder to edit, but they were fun. And we got a bit of that with Spooky Ween. We got a bit of that with the grand finale. And that was part of what made those so special to me, was to be able to get kind of clusters of people back together again. But so one of the reasons that I dive in so hard with the Mario Party Madness stuff is it's a really nice time doing like group games again, because we really don't get very much of that anymore here on the channel. And it's something I miss, and it's something that I don't really have control over in terms of the D-pad. Yeah. And so it's a nice opportunity to get a piece of that back, I guess. Which is, it's not the same, and it never will be. Like the Mario Party Madness does not replace anybody in the D-pad stuff. Ben Jumpscare with the recent Sword Clip in his ZA episode. Those are good times despite the, yeah, exactly. Right. Like the dynamic, was great. And I miss that all the time. And again, Madness is not replacing the D-pad. It's not replacing the focus that I attempt to make anyway on getting people together for stuff over here. It's never going to. But I do miss that. And I think that's part of why I am usually so willing to jump in on so many games there, is because it's something that feels nice to kind of get back into. It's nostalgic, even though it's a lot of new people to me. I guess they're not as new anymore. It's been almost 2.5 years now, but it's just kind of, it feels nice to do group stuff again. It's a rare treat when we get to do it on our end. Reason 2, this one's probably the shallowest of the reasons, but it certainly does apply. I'm not going to pretend like it means nothing, but I've had the opportunity to do streams with folks who are larger than me, much larger than me, and in some cases ridiculously larger than me on YouTube, that I would not have the opportunity to really interact with in that kind of way otherwise. Like I said, very selfish, reason. And I try not to let it like be a determining factor for stuff for me. Like I'm not going like, oh, well, fuck my usual videos. There's going to be something with Shea Frillis or something. Like, I had a game with Shea Frillis Productions, who I think he's got 2 million subs or something on YouTube, which is awesome. In the sense of like, I don't know, it may work as fun, it may work as useful like networking / marketing. I don't know. Maybe that's stupid of me to even think of in that way, but like, we got a lot more views on the video we did with Shafe, on the stream we did with Shafe, than an average Mario Party stream that I'm doing with like me and Mike and Shell and Shad or somebody, like I'm not ignorant to the reason why that happened, and I'm also not like going out of my way to sell out for that either. Not that I think that does qualify as selling out either, but like I'm not like going out of my way to drop shit just to go hang with the big boys and be like, yeah, me too. Like that's not really the idea. But like, it does also kind of matter in some ways to be like, so at the end of the year, for example, at the end of last year, like I forget when, it actually might've been after Christmas. Clark had reached out to me and was like, hey, we're getting some of the classic like Madness folks together for a game. If you're interested, I think Johnny's going to be in. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, that sounds awesome actually. So it was a game with like half folks I have played with and half that I haven't really played with, but Some Call Me Johnny was, cause he was actually there at like the start of Mario Party Madness, like way back, 2020, 2021, that era. And he still does games, but he's also, busy and stuff too. But it was a cool opportunity to play a game with Johnny. That was great. I think he's actually on my team for the 99 turn game this year. I'm captaining one of the teams, by the way, for this year. Team Daisy. I'm going to be captaining. I've been moving up in the ranks. First year I participated. Second year I was one of the core commentators. This year I'm commenting. I'm captaining. So it'll be kind of fun. It'll be very fun. So there's all of that. The third reason, and this one is also selfish, maybe a little more emotionally driven, but like, I don't know, it feels, I want to throw the caveat on here that this is not a comparison I'm making between them and you guys. This is not a them versus the viewers type thing. This is more just like the broad spectrum of YouTube as a whole. It feels nice to feel like wanted in that sort of way among other creators, I guess. So like I said, this is not them versus you guys versus viewers, patrons, anything like that. But so for example, there's a video that hasn't gone up yet that I was involved in because the host of the, I guess I did live stream it. I can talk about it because it was live streamed. So X Iceberg did a Mario Kart World quiz, which involved 4 participants who answer quiz questions and also like go and do Mario Kart challenges and that sort of thing. And it was myself, Salty, I think Moonlit Maple, and Shad. I actually forget which group was fully involved there, which I feel bad about. But I got told at one point, I think it was after we had gotten off the live stream, but we were just chatting and stuff, and I mentioned to Iceberg, I was like, hey, thanks for having me on for this. This was a blast. Especially as someone who doesn't consider myself an amazing Mario Kart player, and just kind of doing my best on the trivia. But like, he had mentioned like, oh yeah, I mean, we had, I think Maple and Salty were in the previous iteration. Like this was the second one of these. Like, yeah, we had, I was asking Maple and Salty, if they knew anybody who were in there who might be interested in joining, and both of them said your name first. So I was like, oh shit, he must be a cool dude, and I brought you in. And I'm like, oh, my fucking heart melted a little bit. Like I was super appreciative of that. And it's tricky because we've been at this for such a long time. 15 years is like crazy to me. It still has, I don't think it's still fully quite like landed yet. And it may not until we're actually in it in like 6 weeks. Like that's coming so fast. But we spent so much of that time more or less alone in terms of like the creator space. We did a little bit of stuff with Retro Trigger, who I actually ran into him completely at random at MagFest this year. Totally at random. And it was so fucking good catching up. I hadn't messaged him because I forget why. There was a reason that I hadn't messaged him already to let him know that I was there. What the hell was the reason? I don't remember now, but it was great to run into him. We got to hang with Denari as well, which was awesome. And the two of them were like the only folks that we did any kind of like moderately recurring stuff with. And I had always kind of chatted up Born Losers Gaming, Game Face Max and Lynn, and for a while, oh my god, Geek Remix. Geek Remix, was that the name of their channel? I'm trying to remember. They aren't a channel anymore for reasons that we will not get into tonight. Born Losers Gaming are still around. They shuffled things around a little bit, but they're still around. Max and Lynn are still doing stuff. Everybody's doing really well, actually. I think Born Losers Gaming but they've had a pretty steady continued growth. I think they're in the ballpark of like 50K at this point. They're doing great. I want to say Max and Lynn are in like the 20s somewhere. They're doing a little better than us as well. But like, we didn't really do anything with them. We tried a couple times. We reached out to them a few times. They reached out to us a few times. We still haven't made it happen. There will be something eventually, but for 12 years on YouTube, we kind of just flew by ourselves. Which on the one hand meant that we weren't really answering to anybody. We weren't really like trying to, coordinate stuff very often with other folks beyond like meeting with people at like MagFest or PAX or something. But it did start to feel really lonely after a while. And it was not so bad in the earlier days because there were 3, 4, 5, 6 of us in the studio recording stuff. And then when I went to go edit, I was editing videos that had 3, 4, 5, 6 of us and living in an apartment that had 4 or 5 of us that were all like, there were people around all the time. It was really, it was a very busy situation. And then as we got into the pandemic and we had people around less, it started to feel like stuff was kind of trickling away a little bit. And we reached the point in like 2022 and then 2023, like right up until the time we moved, because we moved and then got invited to Mario Party Madness within like 2 months of each other. They was super, super close together. But as we were getting close to like moving out, it was a point where it was just me and Sarah in the apartment, with some of John and Ben's stuff that they had left behind. But otherwise it was just Sarah and I. And, we occasionally had folks coming over to record. I think CJ and Felice were the ones who were over the most. They were over like almost every weekend. It was great. Not that I expect that out of anybody, them included, but like, it made it very easy to get a lot done. But so yeah, as we got into 2022, 2023, it started to feel very like it was like a tube had been backed up and it finally released, and suddenly it was just like, whoa, everything is different and there's nobody else around. Like, it very much started to feel like it was like, what's happening? What are we doing? We have not, because like my favorite channels, I would go and check stuff. It was like a tube. Yeah. My favorite channels that I like to watch would do like collaborative shit not all the time, but they would have a bunch of stuff and they would cross over with each other. And it was like, there was like all this fun stuff going on there. And it kind of occurred to me that we had never really put any kind of real energy into doing that. Some of it came down to we just lived far enough away from the few channels that we did kind of interact with. Like Retro lived in Maryland. Denari at the time was living in Pennsylvania, and I think now is even further away. And so it was already kind of tricky. None of us had a lot of money. That was the other thing. I had to keep that in mind when I was thinking about this kind of stuff, because like, these channels extremely successful in the sense that they have millions of subs, or at least hundreds of thousands, and just that on its own is probably meaning enough viewer engagement to bring in enough cash to be able to do the occasional trips out to see each other and do stuff. So we moved in at the end of August of 2023, and I really was feeling it like right away as we moved. It was super overwhelming. There was a lot of stuff to do. And it was just kind of like, whoa, holy shit. Now that we're out here, it's going to be different with recording. We're going to be closer to some folks, which will be good. But we're going to be further from other folks. We're going to be further away from the folks that I started this channel with. And it's funny, I'm looking through my DMs right now. I don't remember how Clark first reached out to me, because the first message that we have on Discord, I think he probably messaged me on Twitter to ask if I was interested in a Mario Party game that involved Born Losers Gaming. Because the first DM I have from him on Discord is October 1st, 2023. So there's about a month between those, which, like, granted, thank God they were that close together, because it really kind of rejuvenated me a little bit there. But it definitely came at like just the right time when I was feeling honestly kind of the most scared. I've had flashes of being like a little scared with the channel in terms of like when the seemingly necessary / unavoidable paradigm shift would ultimately come. Because even under ideal circumstances, I'm not dumb. We're all getting older. We're all getting slower. We're all getting a little less energetic. I'm not decrepit or anything. Like I'm not, my body has not started to break down on me, but I know that we're not going to be able to do this forever. At least not the way we're doing it right now. And even if we do change things to make it easier to do, that won't last forever either. I have no plans of quitting, retiring, what have you, anytime soon, to put that down again. But I know that there will be / is an inevitable point where I have to handle the reality that I will probably have to do more of this stuff solo over time. And it sucks, and I wish that I didn't have to, because I would far rather, play games with my friends forever and do all of that. But I also know that, we're all in our like late 30s at this point. The oldest, I believe Ben is the oldest of everybody on the channel. And he's turning 40 this year. And I'm turning 40 next year. And John's turning 40 next year. And CJ's turning 40 next year. Like, it's there is a point where I can't, I already don't, but I was going to say there's a point where I can't expect people to be coming here super often to play video games on a couch all weekend. Um, I'm trying to focus up a little bit on doing remote recording, but that requires people to have just free schedules in general. But it is a less intensive thing ultimately than they have to be here for it. Um, but yeah, and that's part of the reason that I've tried to have some new solo projects to work on, because I need to get better at the solo commentary. I'm okay at it right now. I'm okay. I don't think I'm ever going to be a million subs level of good with solo commentary, but I could certainly do better than where I'm at. And that's why it's like, all right, Mario Kart World, a pretty soft opening there. There's not a lot going on at most times, so it's not as conducive to like good commentary. But we've also got the streams where fortunately I've got you guys, I've got chat to be able to bounce off of a little bit. Mario Tennis I'm going to do solo. I've got another series that I haven't started yet, but I'm going to soon, that is going to be solo, that won't see the light of day for a little bit, for reasons. It'll be very obvious when it comes out what the reason is, but yeah, I don't know. It's something that I don't want to have to deal with, but I know that I will have to deal with, right? I could certainly be worse. I know, yeah, that's definitely true. I know for sure that I could be a lot further down the totem pole in that front. But yeah, I don't know. I think it also doesn't help in some ways that I'm a pretty laid back person most of the time. I'm sure you've all noticed that the Patreon hangouts tend to be a lot more chill than even an average solo video for me tends to be, let alone when we've got a bunch of people. For anybody who tuned in for the Zelda Archipelago, you might have noticed that I didn't talk a ton for two reasons. One, I was trying to concentrate a little bit on just like finding checks, but also the other folks that were on the call for that had a lot more energy than I did. Not in terms of like, oh, I was like, level 9 ASMR stream. Yep. I still need to figure out how I'm going to edit that thing together in the first place, but it's the first time in a while that I've properly felt old in my group, which is funny because I know Linky I think just turned 35. So he's I mean, I was gonna say he's not far behind me. He's actually older. He's actually not older. He's the same age as like Sarah. Older than Ian, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if like half of that call was folks in their 20s. But I don't know. The old man playing the oldest Zelda game. Yeah, I even commented at one point that despite how old that Zelda game is, I'm still older than it. I'm not 40. I'm not older than the Japanese Famicom Disk System original release of the game from February 1986, but I am older than the American NES release in August of 1987. I am older than that. So like, I don't know. That was an interesting experience. It was fun. I had a great time with it. I'm looking forward to the next one of those I can do. I'm not gonna be doing another one of those for a while. One, because it was a multi-night thing, and I can't justify that very often. I could barely justify it this time, to be dead honest. But depending on what the plans are later in the year, I may jump in another one. They're basically all going like, we need a break from Archipelagos from a little bit, because they also did one in January that I was going to do, and then I just felt like shit. I was super sick, so like, I can't do it. I'm going to bow out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to navigate some uncharted waters. It has not been easy. This is aside from the fact that the plan was never really that I was going to be the sole editor for the channel, and it just kind of wound up that way. So, I mean, I've been editing these videos. I've been editing videos for about 14 and a half years, because our first videos were in June of 2011. We did podcasting starting in April. People tend to marathon them because otherwise you just forget too much. Totally. Yeah, no, I understand completely the reason why it wound up being like that. It kind of fell apart in a couple. So for one, we had people in such diverse time zones that one of our players, it was already like, I'm trying to remember where she was from. At least the UK, probably further east than that, because I want to say that she was like 7 hours ahead, something like that. And wound up coming into it not having gotten a lot of sleep. There was a second person that also didn't really get a lot of sleep. And then both of them wound up being super critical to the progress of the archipelago. One of them was functionally the main character. Like their progress was nearly linear through their game, but they were constantly the one who had to throw important items to other people, including to the point where some people's critical items were on their moon. They were playing Majora, and on their moon were some critical items. Whereas I was kind of off on my own for most of it. I had very little direct interaction with most of the rest of the game, or the games. I forget why I went down this road with it. Oh, because we were talking the archipelagos. Yeah. See, now I'm going senile in my old age. You can actually kind of see it's not amazingly clear just 'cause I've got light kind of features here, but this shit is like very gray. Can I show it off in a way that makes it make sense? It's kind of hard to tell there, but there's a lot of gray. The shinier hairs are the gray ones. Like it's happening, you know? Can I see on the beard? You can kind of see it. You can kind of see it over here. I don't know how well you can see it over here. And then there's a little chunk of it right here. And then there's a little streaks of it up here, like. But yeah, where grays are too. We only just turned 32 a month ago. So Meg's brother Adam, who was on the channel for, I want to say, Mega Man 5, he went gray when he was like 20. I think he was in college, and he went gray. Their whole family went gray early. Meg had salt and pepper situation going on even while she was on the channel actively, and she's much grayer now. But sideburns are where it starts. Yeah, I definitely have the sideburn stuff going on. It's more obvious right here. I can't tell on this side. Also, my beard grows in very uneven. I don't know why, but on the left side of my face, my beard is just like, boom, we're just going to keep going. We're just going to keep going. And on the right side, it's like, I don't know, man, this is as much as we got in us. I don't know why. But yeah, it's been interesting trying to chart these waters. I'm doing the best I can. It's tough trying to, because I'm trying to juggle the channel, I'm trying to juggle work, I'm trying to juggle making sure that I am a present boyfriend at least once in a while. Not nearly enough as I should be. And also sleep. February's been awful for sleep. I have been probably like averaging like 4 or 5 hours over the course of the last month, thanks to some of these late nights. Not necessarily from streaming, though streaming doesn't always help. Some of those have been work nights. A lot of them actually this month have been work nights. So like, I don't know. Not doing great juggling things, and also my health. I need to exercise more. I'm the heaviest I've been in my whole life, going into the end of 2025 into 2026, and I need to get that under control too, and that takes time also. So like, I don't know, it's difficult making stuff work, and also the workload is humongous right now. So I'm doing the best I can, and I realize that I've spiraled super far away from the Metroid discussion, but just to circle back to that, I very much understand that that some folks are upset. I am sorry. I messed up in terms of expectations, and following through on them properly, and I do feel bad about that. And God, come on, chat thing. Fuck. I need to get off of XSplit. What a fucking moment ruining thing right there. Come on. Come on. There we go. But sorry. Yeah. I want to do better with keeping the expectations more reasonable. The plan, and I'm trying to stick to this as best I can at this point, is Ratata streams on Mondays with the occasional Mario Party Madness in there. I'm going to try to rein that in a little bit. I do still want to do them, but I definitely understand that, yeah, there's been a lot of them lately. During what is supposed to be the off season, we really aren't supposed to be. The plan is rarely to do much of those before April because that's when we kick off the Extra Life season. But part of the problem is, surprisingly, like most of the server seems to have birthdays in the first 3.5 months of the year. But so that's going to be on Mondays. Metroid is going to be on Wednesdays. There's far less interruption there. And then after Metroid Prime 4, I will need to decide how things are going to work from there. I don't know what's going to be Monday, what's going to be Wednesday. I am tempted to put Pokemon on Wednesday just because we have so much quantity that we need to get through with that. And the less we fall off of that, the faster we'll be able to succeed at our goal. But other stuff that we would want to be doing include getting the Nightmare streams back, the Nightmare and the Dreamy Let's Play streams. I am interested in doing Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD. I was going to say HD. I was about to say HD2D Remix. Wow. It's just HD2D Remake. As well as the final Dragon Quest 3 stream to kind of kick that off. There's also, at some point, I'd like to do Persona 5. Because Persona 6 feels like it could get announced literally any day now. Who fucking knows? I'd be willing to bet it comes out in 2027, to be honest. Just because with Persona 4 Revival, is that the name of the show? I think that they're probably going to need a little longer for the next one. And I don't think they're going to remake Persona 5. I think they're just going to keep it with 5 and Royal. But Persona 5 would be good to do at some point. At some point, Mega Man is properly coming back, and then not long after that, we're going to be wanting to do Project Cross Zone 1 and 2. But that's a little further out. That's less of a concern for now. And I'm sure I'm forgetting other stuff, too. So, like, there's a lot of stuff that's in there, and I've only got so much time in the week to be able to devote to it. I am sometimes a little bit bummed that the D-pad was never really able to be a full-time thing, because that would make it very easy. I could stream basically like every day. I could stream every afternoon or something, like, and we could have a bunch of different things running at once. But that's just not what wound up happening, which is fine. I'm not ungrateful. Trust me. And that too, there's times that games come out that I'm interested. I wanted to do Baba Is You at one point. I wanted to do the Return of the Obra Dinn. I wanted to do Chicory because it got a full release. One of these days, I am going to do Deltarune. I think I'm going to wait until the full game is out so I can kind of do it all in one go, one very long go. I'm sure that'll be a crazy long thing, but. And then there's a bunch of others. There's plenty of other games that I would like to do as streams at some point. But it's hard to justify when I know that I've got the commitments that I've agreed to, and even those I'm struggling to like stay on top of, And also, actually, when Pokemon The Very Best is done, we've got Generational Trauma, the the massive genlock thing that I've been cooking up for a while that I am actually very interested in doing. Play Wandersong before Chicory, actually get that that dev's games in order. All right. It's fair enough. But yeah, like, yeah, I wish there was more time. Story of my life. I wish there was more time. I'd make a lot of things a lot easier. That's for damn sure. And I mean, this is a year and a half, better part of 2 years away, but I do want to do Pokemon Winds and Waves when that comes out as well. So, but again, year and a half probably, maybe longer. So that's not a concern for right now. But yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And like, it's just the way of life, right? Like there's nothing to be done about that. And at the end of the day, my number one goal, my number one goal is to hang out and have fun. Number two goal beyond that is to give all of y'all something light and fun in your day as well. And whatever that means, however I'm able to do that, I am satisfied with doing that. So, all right, I'm already late to start doing the Rattata stream. So I'm going to bounce off of here. I'm going to take a little time to like double check my settings and things because I need to. There's one more feature of the stream that didn't come up in the first one that is almost guaranteed to come up tonight. Yeah. If we go even more than just 2 hours, it'll come up tonight. And then I'll be on. I think somewhere in the ballpark of 9:30 or so is probably when we'll be on. But I'm planning to go till probably like, I don't know, 1 or so in the morning, maybe 2. Thanks. Yeah. It'll be interesting. It's a nice excuse to do podcasty type stuff. Maybe some of the things that get talked about here are going to get talked about there too. I don't know. But all right. No, it'll be good. It's one of the reasons I kind of like it is, aside from the stupidity of the challenge and the excuse to just kind of hang and have podcast type chats, is that it is kind of zen. There's sort of a nice, like, it's tedious, but in kind of a relaxingly mechanical way. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I don't know. All right. I'm going to get out of here. I'll catch you guys next time. We got Digimon Night on the 13th of March. We're going to be doing the Black War Greymon arc on their Discord. And then on April 3rd, it is the 15th anniversary marathon stream. More details to come. We're going to make a big announcement for it sometime in the next like 3 weeks. And before that, the hour before that, we're going to be doing our Patreon. It's going to be a public hangout, which it usually is for the March one. But for an hour before that, we'll be hanging out, chatting before we get things kicked off. So, all right, I'm going to get out of here and I'll catch you guys in a little bit / next time. Bye-bye.